At 5:47 a.m., on August 8, 1941, 24-year-old Lyudmila Pavlichenko hunkered down behind some Lyudmila, Ukraine, eyeing a German sniper ready to take out a Soviet soldier just 40 meters away. History student, 4 months in the Red Army, 0 confirmed kills, 309 to go. The Wehrmacht had sent 3 full divisions to take Odessa, 150,000 German soldiers advancing. Soviet forces were outnumbered 3-1, and Lyudmila had just volunteered to become a sniper in a unit that was losing soldiers faster than they could train them. She'd been on the front lines for 6 hours. No sleep, no food, just her Mosin Nagant rifle, 40 rounds of ammunition, and a death wish wrapped in patriotic fury. Her university in Kiev had been bombed 11 days earlier. 73 students killed. Her professor, Dr. Anatoly Vulov, buried under the Ruble for 2 hours before they pulled his body out. Her best friend Natasha died in the library. Fire consumed the building. Natasha couldn't get out. Lyudmila had enlisted the next morning. The recruiting officer told her to become a nurse. Women belonged in medical units, not infantry. Lyudmila told him she'd been shooting since she was 14. Marksman scores in youth shooting club. Top tier in regional competitions. The officer laughed. Said shooting targets was in combat. Combat was blood, screams, death. Women couldn't handle it. Lyudmila told him to test her. The officer gave her a rifle pointed at a fence post 100 meters away. She put 5 rounds through the center. The officer stopped laughing. She was assigned to the 25th Rifle Division as a sniper. That was 4 months ago. Now she was in Ukraine watching Germans kill her comrades, and she had taken her first shot. Yet the German sniper was 280 meters away, positioned behind a destroyed farmhouse wall. Lyudmila could see his helmet through a crack in the masonry. He was tracking the Soviet soldier waiting for him to move. The Soviet soldier was Sergeant Dmitry Kravchenko, 32 years old, married, 2 children. Lyudmila had met him. Yesterday, he'd shared his bread with her when she hadn't eaten in 18 hours. Now he was about to die because he didn't know a German was aiming at him. Lyudmila raised her rifle. Her hands were steady. Her breathing was controlled. Her instructor's voice echoed in her head. Don't think about killing. Think about solving a problem. Distance, wind, target movement. It's mathematics, not murder. 280 meters light crosswind from the west. Target stationary. She adjusted for windage, settled the crosshairs on the crack where the German's helmet showed. Her finger touched the trigger. This was the moment that would define everything. Either she could kill, or she couldn't. Either she was a soldier, or she was a student, pretending to be one. She squeezed the Mosin Nagant jolted against her shoulder, its crack echoing across the battlefield. Through her scope, she saw the German's helmet jerk backward, then disappear. Kravchenko looked around, confused, didn't know what had just happened. Lyudmila chambered another round, scanned for threats. Nothing moved. She'd just killed her first German soldier. Felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction, just the immediate question. Where's the next one? That was August 8th, 1941. By May 1942, Lyudmila Pavlichenko would have 309 confirmed kills, including 36 enemy snipers. She would become the deadliest female sniper in history. And the crazy trick that made it possible was something Soviet doctrine explicitly forbade. She used herself as bait. If this story is pulling you in, hit that like button right now. It tells YouTube to share this with more people who care about these forgotten heroes, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. These stories matter. The people who live them deserve to be remembered. You're part of making that happen. The first sniper Lyudmila lost was Lieutenant Anna Morozova. August 19th, 1941. Morozova had been a sniper for 8 months. 47 confirmed kills. Experience smart by the book. Soviet sniper doctrine was clear. Never expose your position. Find concealment. Take your shot. Move immediately to a secondary position. Never stay in one place more than 30 minutes. Never fire more than 3 shots from the same location. Never engage unless you have a clean exit route. Morozova followed every rule. She positioned herself in a bombed-out apartment building. 3rd floor. Excellent sightlines. 2 exit routes planned. She engaged a German machine gun crew at 320 meters. One shot, one kill. Moved to her secondary position on the second floor. Waited 20 minutes. Engaged a German officer at 280 meters. Clean kill. Started moving to her tertiary position on the ground floor. A German sniper shot her through the stairwell window. Single shot to the chest. She died before the medics arrived. The German sniper had been tracking her, watched her first shot, predicted her movement pattern, positioned himself to intercept. Morozova never saw him. She followed doctrine perfectly and died anyway. Lyudmila was in the same building one floor below. She heard the shot, heard Morozova fall, heard the Germans were laughing, knowing they had taken out a Soviet sniper. The guy who got Morozova was Hans Beska, a feared sniper with 89 confirmed kills. Specialist in counter-sniper operations. He hunted Soviet snipers, like Luda hunted German soldiers. Becker's pattern was consistent. He waited for Soviet snipers to engage, tracked their positions, anticipated their movements, killed them when they relocated. Soviet doctrine made his job easier. If you followed the rules, you were predictable. If you were predictable, you were dead. The second sniper Loiter lost was Corporal Victor August 27th. Stepanov was 19 years old. Sniper for 6 weeks, 11 confirmed kills. Good kid, eager to prove himself. He'd set up in a drainage ditch 400 meters from German lines. Perfect concealment, good sight lines, textbook positioning. He engaged a German patrol at dawn. 2 shots, 2 kills. Germans scattered, took cover. Stepanov followed doctrine. Istadjed low waited 15 minutes, prepared to move to his secondary position. A German artillery shell landed directly in his ditch. Obliteration kill. Nothing left to bury. The Germans had called in artillery based on where they thought the sniper was hiding. Standard counter-sniper tactic. Observe the shot. Estimate position. Saturate the area with explosives. Stenov's concealment was perfect. His shot placement was excellent. His adherence to doctrine was flawless. He died anyway, because the Germans knew exactly how Soviet snipers operated. By September, Lyudmila had watched 7 snipers die. Every single one followed doctrine. Every single one died because they were predictable. German counter-sniper units were too good. They knew Soviet tactics. They knew Soviet positioning. They knew Soviet movement patterns. Fighting by the book meant dying by the book. Lyudmila studied how each engagement developed. Same pattern. Soviet sniper takes position, engages target. Germans triangulate the shot. Counter-sniper or artillery responds. Soviet sniper dies or retreats. The problem wasn't marksmanship. Soviet snipers could shoot. The problem was that they fought defensively, waited for targets, took shots when opportunities appeared, followed doctrine, never initiated, never controlled the engagement, never made the Germans react to them. German snipers, especially the experienced ones like Becka, hunted actively. They didn't wait for targets. They created them. They forced Soviet snipers to expose themselves, then killed them. Lyudmila needed to reverse that dynamic. Stop being prey, become predator. But Soviet doctrine was explicit. Concealment is survival. Exposure is death. Never compromise your position. Never give the enemy a target. The doctrine made sense, in theory. In practice, it was a death sentence. German counter-snipers were too skilled. They could find you even when you were perfectly concealed. Lyudmila decided to do something completely illegal. She would expose herself deliberately, make herself visible, draw fire, then kill whoever shot at her. It was insane. It violated every principle of sniper warfare. It would probably get her killed. But 7 snipers were dead, and Lyudmila refused to be the 8th. The trick required precision timing, perfect positioning, and absolute nerve. Lyudmila would set up 2 nests, not one, primary and secondary, but only for 6 meters apart, close enough that she could move between them in under 3 seconds. She'd place a decoy in the primary nest, a helmet on a stick, a spare sleeve stuffed with straw. Anything that looked like a person from 300 meters away, she'd hide in the secondary nest. watching. When a German sniper shot at the decoy, muzzle flash would give away their position. Lyudmila would have to 4 seconds before they realized the decoy was fake. In those seconds, she'd acquire the target, aim, fire, one shot. If Sama said the German would know her real position, she'd be dead. If she got hit, she'd quickly reset the trap and try again. The plan was suicidal. Soviet command would court-martial her if they found out. Exposing a position deliberately, even a fake one, was tactical insanity. But Lyudmila had watched too many friends die following doctrine. She tested the technique on September 3, 1941. Early morning, German lines were 340 meters away. She set up in a ruined cellar near the front line. 2 shooting positions, one with a helmet propped on debris, positioned to look like a sniper, observing German positions. She waited in the secondary position 5 meters to the right, completely concealed. Her rifle was aimed at the area where a German counter-sniper would most likely position himself. 45 minutes passed. Nothing moved. Lyudmila's muscles ached from staying motionless. Her eyes watered from staring through the scope. Insects crawled across her hands. She didn't move. At 6:17 a.m., a shot cracked across no man's land. The helmet in her primary nest jerked backward. Someone had taken the bait. Lyudmila scanned the German lines. There, 320 meters away, a muzzle flash, a figure shifting position behind a brick wall. She had 3 seconds. Her crosshairs settled on the figure. She couldn't see details, just a shape. She fired. The figure dropped. Them didn't wait to confirm. She abandoned both positions, moved 40 meters west, set up in a different building. She peered through her scope at the brick wall where the German had been. 2 soldiers appeared, dragging a body. Confirmed kill. The plan worked. In the next 6 weeks, Lyudmila really fine-tuned her method. She learned exactly how long to wait, how to position decoys, how to predict where German snipers would set up. She studied their patterns obsessively. German snipers preferred elevated positions. They liked to shoot from buildings' 2nd or 3rd floor. They avoided ground-level hides because Soviet artillery targeted those first. They positioned themselves with the sun at their backs when possible. They rarely changed positions during daylight. Lyudmila used all of this. She set her decoys to be visible from elevated German positions. She timed her operations for when the sun would be in German snipers' eyes, not hers. She built her secondary nests at ground level where Germans wouldn't expect her. She treated every engagement like a chess match. The decoy was her opening move. The Germans' shot was their response. Her kill shot was checkmate. By October, Lyudmila had 78 confirmed kills. 22 of them were German snipers. Word spread through Soviet units. The woman sniper who hunted the hunters. Soldiers started requesting her for counter-sniper operations. Officers who'd lost men to German snipers came to her personally, begged her to help. Some brought bottles of vodka. Some brought extra rations. Some just brought grief. A lieutenant named Vulov came to her on October 12th. His platoon had lost 9 men to a German sniper in 4 days. The sniper operated near a railway junction, shot from different positions, killed officers, radio operators, machine gunners, anyone important. Volkov's men were terrified. They refused to move during daylight. The entire platoon was paralyzed. Volkov asked Lyudmila to kill the German. Say it. Yes, not because of the vodka Vulov offered, because she remembered Morozova, because she remembered Stevanov, because German snipers had killed 7 of her friends, and she wanted revenge for every single one. She studied the railway junction for 2 days, watched through binoculars from 800 meters away, mapped every position with sight lines, counted buildings, measured distances, noted wind patterns. The German was smart. He never shot from the same place twice, never established a pattern, but he had to shoot. And when he shot, he had to be somewhere. Lyudmila identified 11 possible positions, too many to watch. She needed to force the German to reveal himself. She set up 5 meters from where Volkov's men congregated, made a decoy that looked like a Soviet officer, put it in a position where it would be visible from 8 of the 11 possible German positions. Then she hid 12 meters away. Rifle aimed at the most likely German location. At 6:30 a.m., the decoy stood still for 40 minutes, but nothing happened. Lyudmila remained frozen in place, Her legs cramped, her back keyed. She didn't move. At 7:11 a.m., the shot came. The decoy's helmet spun away. Lyudmila saw the muzzle flash. 420 meters inside a train car. The German had positioned himself inside a destroyed boxcar. Brilliant hiding spot. Lyudmila had considered it unlikely, because the boxcar was exposed to Soviet artillery, but the German had calculated that Soviet forces wouldn't waste shells on a single boxcar. He'd been right until now. Lyudmila adjusted for distance and wind. The German was moving. Inside the boxcar, she could see his shape through the open door. Sat maybe 5 seconds before he realized the decoy was fake. She fired. Through her scope, she saw the German jerk backward. He didn't fall. He stumbled. She'd hit him, but not fatally. He was wounded trying to escape. She chambered another round, fired again. The German dropped. Volkov's men moved in afterward. Found the German dead inside the boxcar. 2 shots, one through the shoulder, one through the head. His logbook listed 67 confirmed kills. Vulov asked Luda how she'd known where he was. She said she didn't. She just made him shoot first, then she'd killed him. Simple mathematics. Volkov said it wasn't mathematics. It was courage or insanity. Probably bought. German units put a bounty on her. 100 Reichsmarks for whoever killed the Russian girl. Then 500 Reichsmarks. Then 1,000. The price kept rising as her kill count climbed. German propaganda broadcasts mentioned her by name, called her the Devil Woman, said she was a myth, said no woman could kill that many Germans, said she was Soviet propaganda, said if she was real, she was probably a man disguised as a woman. Lyudmila heard the broadcasts. Other soldiers told her what the Germans were saying. She found it funny. The Germans were so terrified of her they couldn't believe she existed. Their denial was proof of her effectiveness. Lyudmila didn't care what they said. She cared that they were scared. Scared enemies made mistakes, and Lyudmila was there to punish every mistake. She started leaving signatures, small things, a piece of ribbon tied near her shooting position after she'd left, a playing card placed on a dead German sniper's chest, Red Queen, the Red Queen of Death. Soviet propaganda loved it. Newspapers published stories about Lady Death who taunted German snipers before killing them. Lyudmila never confirmed or denied the stories. Let them believe what they wanted. Belief created fear. Fear created mistakes. Mistakes created opportunities, and opportunities created confirmed kills. The engagement that made her legendary happened on November the 7th, 1941. German forces were pushing hard on Sevastopol. Soviet defenders were holding by their fingernails. The siege was brutal. Food was running out. Ammunition was rationed. Medical supplies were nearly gone, and a German sniper had killed 11 Soviet soldiers in 3 days. Officers, sergeants, anyone who gave orders. The sniper was systematically decapitating Soviet command structure. Nobody could locate him. Nobody could counter him. He took 1 shot, 10 bunny said, disappeared like a ghost. Soviet command was desperate. Major Chernov called Lyudmila to headquarters, showed her photographs of the dead, entry wounds, perfect placement. Every shot was deadly, no injuries, just bodies. The German sniper was incredibly skilled, leaving officers too scared to show their faces. Sergeants were refusing to give orders in the open. The sniper was winning through terror. He wasn't just killing people, he was destroying morale. Soviet command asked Lyudmila to find him. They gave her 48 hours. If she couldn't kill him, the entire sector might collapse. Commanders would refuse to lead. Units would fragment. The German offensive would break through. 48 hours, one sniper against another. Winner takes the sector. Loser dies. Lyudmila accepted. She had no choice. This was what she trained for. This was why she existed on this battlefield. To kill German snipers, to be better than them, to prove that courage and innovation could defeat experience and skill. She studied the kill locations, all within a 400 meters radius, all during early morning between 5:45 and 7:30 a.m. All single shots to the head or chest. Precision work. The German was good. Very good. She plotted the angles on a map. Every kill came from a slightly different direction. Northeast one day, southwest the next, northwest after that. The German was mobile. He changed positions constantly, never shot from the same place twice, never established a pattern. He was following doctrine perfectly. He was everything Morozova had been, everything Soviet doctrine taught, and Morozova was dead. Lyudmila needed to think differently. She studied the terrain with Lieutenant Boris, a reconnaissance officer who'd survived the siege of Odessa. Boris knew Sevastopol better than anyone. Every street, every ruin, every crater. They walked the perimeter at night. Dangerous work. German patrols were active, but Lyudmila needed to see the battlefield from ground level, needed to understand sight lines, needed to think like the German. The area was urban ruins, collapsed buildings, rubble, streets, shell craters. Everywhere. 1,000 hiding places. The German could be anywhere, but he had to see his targets, which meant he needed sight lines, clear views, unobstructed angles. Lyudmila mapped every position with clear views of where Soviet officers congregated: command post, supply depot, communication center, observation posts. She identified 14 potential sniper positions, buildings with intact upper floors, ruins with good concealment, positions that offered multiple escape routes, too many to watch simultaneously. She needed to narrow it down. The German shot in early morning. Why? Lighting, routine, wind conditions. Lem thought about it for hours, lay in her bunk staring at the ceiling, running scenarios. Early morning meant Soviet officers were visible, moving between positions, checking defenses, hiving orders. First light meant soldiers were tired, less alert. Guards were changing shifts. Attention was divided. The German was hunting during shift change. That meant he was watching specific locations at specific times. He knew Soviet routines. He'd studied them. He was patient. He was smart. He was everything Lyudmila had to beat. Lyudmila picked the 3 most likely positions based on sight lines and escape routes. North tower of a destroyed church, 3rd floor of a collapsed apartment building, rooftop of a former school. All had perfect views of Soviet command areas. All offered multiple exit routes. All were elevated enough to provide advantage. Then she did something even more insane than her normal tactics. She decided to become the bait herself. Not a decoy, not a helmet on a stick. Herself standing in the open, making herself the most valuable target on the battlefield. If the German took the shot, she'd have maybe 1.5 seconds to react. If she was wrong about his position, she'd be dead before she hit the ground. If she was right, she'd have 1 chance to dive, acquire the target, and fire before he reaped. 1 chance, 1 moment, everything on the line. November 8th, 5:42 a.m. Lyudmila wore an officer's coat she'd borrowed from a dead lieutenant. Too big for her, but recognizable from a distance. She stood in the open near the command post, right where officers usually gathered for morning briefing. Made herself a target, exposed, vulnerable, alone. Her rifle was 4 meters away, propped behind rubble, aimed at the most likely German position, the destroyed church tower. If she was wrong about the location, she'd be dead before she could react. If she was right, she'd have maybe 2 seconds to dive, grab the rifle, acquire the target, fire. 2 seconds between life and death. 2 seconds to prove she was better than him. She stood there for 17 minutes. Each minute felt like an hour, exposed, every nerve screaming at her to take cover, every instinct telling her this was suicide. Her hands stayed at her sides, relaxed, had to look natural, had to look like a real officer. Not bait. Wind blew cold across the ruins. She could hear distant artillery, machine gun fire to the east. Normal battlefield sounds. Nothing moved in the German positions. Maybe the German wasn't there. Maybe he'd repositioned during the night. Maybe he'd been killed by artillery. Maybe this entire plan was based on faulty intelligence, and she was standing in the open for nothing. Maybe he was watching her right now, crosshairs on her chest, finger on the trigger, just waiting for the right moment. Her heart raced. Sweat ran down her back despite the cold. She counted seconds, 120 seconds standing in the open. 120 seconds of being a target. Nothing happened. Maybe the German wasn't interested. Maybe he'd seen through the trap. Maybe the shot came at 5:59 a.m. Lyudmila heard it before she felt it. The crack of a rifle. Distinct sound. Mauser Kane 98. The snap of a bullet passing centimeters from her head. So close she felt the air displacement. So close it parted her hair. She dove left, not back. Left toward her rifle, hit the ground hard, ignored the pain, grabbed her rifle. Her hands found it instantly. Muscle memory. She'd positioned it perfectly. Swung the barrel toward the church tower. Scanned through the scope. There, 300 meters. Third floor of the destroyed bell tower. A figure moving back from an opening. He'd taken the shot. He was repositioning, moving back into shadow. Sayad maybe 3 seconds before he was concealed completely. Lyudmila didn't take time to aim perfectly, didn't calculate wind, didn't adjust for exact distance, just pointed and fired. Instinct shot. The kind of shot instructors say never to take. The kind of shot that gets you killed in combat. Her rifle kicked against her shoulder. Through the scope, she saw the figure jerk. Saw him stagger. Saw him fall backward into darkness. She didn't know if she'd hit him or if he'd taken cover. She stayed down, watched, waited, chambered another round, kept her scope on the tower opening. If he appeared again, she'd fire again and again until one of them was dead. 3 minutes passed. Nothing moved in the tower. No return fire. No movement. Either he was dead or he was playing the same game, waiting for her to expose herself again. Lyudmila didn't move. She'd learned patience. Learned that the sniper who moved first usually died first. 10 minutes passed. The sun was rising. More light meant more visibility, more risk. Soviet soldiers were starting their morning routines. Officers were emerging from bunkers. If the German was still alive, he had more targets now. But he didn't shoot. 15 minutes after her shot, Lyudmila saw Soviet infantry moving toward the church. Boris had organized a clearing team. They'd been waiting for her signal. She'd signaled by shooting. The soldiers entered the church cautiously, rifles ready, expecting ambush, expecting the German to be alive and waiting. Lyudmila watched through her scope, followed their movement through the ruins. They reached the 3rd floor, entered the bell tower. 2 minutes later, Boris appeared at the tower opening. He waved. All clear. Target down. Confirm kill. Lyudmila lowered her rifle. Her hands were shaking. Not fear, just an adrenaline crash after surviving a duel with the German sniper. She'd made herself bait. She'd taken an impossible shot under pressure, and she'd won. Later, Soviet soldiers moved in to clear the building. They found a German sniper on the 3rd floor of the bell tower. Single shot through the chest. Dead. His rifle was still in his hands.